Okay, well, here we go. All right, we're starting from this slide. I think you've seen it before. People making the wrong decisions. About 70, 80% of them are making a left-hand turn, and that's not any good for long-term health, that's for sure. And this map shows the obesity rate for adults, and this is 2015, and this is 2019. You see there's a lot more states that are fully obese. 35% obese, the dark colored ones were. And we're going to talk about sugar addiction today. And truth about sugar addiction, is it really addiction? Well, this is the perpetual sugar addiction curve. First of all, you eat sugar or something like that. But first of all, before that happens, you got to think about it. And if that chatterbrain wins, then you're probably going to have something that has sugar in it, donut or something like that. And you like it, you crave it, and it has addictive properties. Number two over here, blood sugar levels spike, and then when that happens, dopamine is released into the brain, and that's the part of the opioid center of the brain. And it starts putting out insulin and to drop the blood sugar levels. When that happens, the blood sugar levels, it's stored. The sugar levels are stored, the sugar, blood sugars. And down in number three, the high insulin levels cause immediate fat storage. And then your body craves the lost sugar. And then you get the cravings again, back around. And it's a complete circle. And it really is an addictive situation. Can you be hooked on sugar? Well, I'm here to tell you you can. Funny thing about this in the background is a picture of the brain. I'm not sure what kind of picture it is. Ron might know.
Picture your brain.
Yep.
that is
anyhow, the picture of opioid centers, opioid picture of the brain looks just exactly like the sugar picture of the brain. Same places are lit up in both cases, dopamine and endorphins. Now there's a pretty one, and it looks like an insect actually. Okay, what happens here is when you have sugar, or it can be carbs of any kind, refined flours, refined grains, that type of thing, and anything that drives up your blood sugars rather rapidly, then the insulin pump kicks in to put the blood sugars into storage as fat, and then it drops down, and then you're hungry again. That happens all the time. And it's a craving, it's addiction, and a person that gets into an up and down situation like that, all they can think about is food, and I'm one to tell you this is true. Starch can equal sugar, just as I explained. Refined grains and this thing is called starch, and it's treated by your body the same way that sugar is. In other words, starches make your carbs make your blood sugars go up. I have a couple videos here that are interesting. They're not too long, so we'll play them and see what
My name
nurse
is
has to say.
Johnson. I'm a sugar addict, and I've been since I was about 45 years old. I'm a nurse and also been working for 24 years and met more than 6,000 patients that have told me very touching stories about their battle with food. This video series will be about sugar addiction, what it is, what you do if you have it, how can you recover. And in this first video, we will be talking about what is sugar addiction. Well, at a conference in US, I was listening to Mark Gold, one of the most prominent researchers on is sugar and flour really a psychoactive drug, which means that it can affect your reward system. And he said, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it is probably a duck. Every day I get 2 or 3 emails from people that tell me that, can you please help me? I'm eating myself to death. I can't stop. I know I shouldn't eat these things, but I can't stop. What's wrong with me? Am I crazy? Why am I such an abnormal, bad character person? Well, if this happens to be you, you're not, I promise you. For many years, I could wake up in the morning and feeling really tired, restless, listless, and down, and I didn't understand why. Many years later, when I had the knowledge and the research backing that up, I understood that it was the morning after an evening when I had binged on sugar and flour, on the carbs. So sugar addiction is real. It is not something that you imagine. And if you have a loss of control over certain foods, that is a really big problem and it can affect your life tremendously. And if you look at the reward system, you know, when we feel happy, when we might get a new job, have you ever been in love? You know that that is a very potent feeling and you feel really perked up, you feel happy, you feel joyous, you're not really tired, you don't have a lot of pain and aches. And I'm telling you, when that happens to you, your brain is flooded with dopamine and endorphins, you know, a lot of neurotransmitters in your brain. And this is what we mean when we talk about a psychoactive drug. You know, something that is psychoactive has the power to change your neurotransmitters in your brain. And who could believe that sugar could do that? Well, we thought about it for many years. We saw people acting in that way. You know, I've never met a person that will hide, sneak, lie, and steal fish, boiled cod, cucumber. Can you imagine that? You know, you start laughing and you think about it. But people are doing that with sugary stuff, you know, with chocolate, with ice cream, with cakes, cookies. You hide the wrapper in the garbage can. You don't want anyone to see what you were really eating. And, you know, it's food. You should be able to handle food, shouldn't you? Well, you know, if you look back more than 60 years, the kind of stuff that's in the food today was not there. It wasn't so much processed foods. It wasn't added sugar and everything. I used to ask people that are my age, around 60, and I said, when you were a kid, did you have a jar of sugar in your house? And they all said, yeah, we did. But do you have it now? Does young people have a jar with sugar in their house, in the kitchen cabinet? No, they don't. How come? Why don't you have a jar with sugar today? Well, it is because sugar is added into almost everything you buy, everything you eat today. So 85% of sugar you get into your food today from eating what you think is regular food. So sugar has the actual property of, you know, changing your brain chemistry. So does it mean that anyone that eats sugar is a sugar addict? No, it doesn't. We know today from a lot of research that if you have a sensitive reward system, that's what causing, you know, some people to become addicted to it. And addiction, the word addiction comes from the Latin word addicere, which means to be enslaved. It means losing control. Something else is ruling you. And that's what's so unpleasant with sugar addiction. It is not you who is running the show. You're like a missile, you know, you're locked on target. And once you get into being hooked on sugar, you will do almost anything to eat it. And if you listen to people telling their stories, you can see that it's very, very potent drug. People steal to get sugar. People lie about it. People get tremendous consequences. I mean, being overweight is not fun. It's very painful. It's very unhealthy. And still, people want to lose weight, but they still keep eating and gaining weight. So the outcome is not what you want it to be. And that is one of the signs of an addiction. I want to lose weight, but I keep eating and gaining weight. And then something is very wrong. You're not a bad person, believe me. You're not psychologically sick. You have a very, very potent changed brain chemistry. And that is from a lot of processed food that we have in our grocery stores today. And that's really sad. So if you really want to learn what this is all about, dare go into having a diagnosis. Don't stay at home and hide and feel ashamed of something that you can actually do so much about. If you can relate to any of those things that I told about, please keep listening to the videos coming where I'm going to explain why this is happening to you and what you can do about it.
Hi, my name is Doug Varia, and I used to be a big fat guy. I weighed 265 pounds, I had a 48-inch waist, I was type 2 diabetic, and I was insulin resistant, until I discovered the one thing in my life that was causing all these problems: sugar. Today, I'm going to prepare 3 meals for you, and I'm going to show you where all the hidden sugar comes from in your world. So let's start with breakfast, shall we? For our healthy breakfast this morning, I've chosen a diet cereal, fresh orange juice, whole grain bread, low-fat milk, and a banana. Would you believe eating this breakfast is the same thing as eating a full cup of sugar? So let's take the sugar we consume from breakfast and pour it right into our bowl. We had 10 teaspoons from the toast, 5 teaspoons from the banana, 11 teaspoons from the cereal, 4 teaspoons from the milk, and 8 teaspoons from the juice. Almost a full cup of sugar. Now, what you need to understand about sugar is the first fuel to burn. And the sugar that we don't burn gets stored as fat. So if we want to burn fat off of our bodies, we have to eliminate the sugar from our world. And then the fat will start to burn off our bodies. Now let's see what we have in store for lunch. I went out today and bought a bag lunch from a very well-known restaurant. I chose a healthy chicken club sandwich, an order of French fries, and a medium soda. Would you believe eating this lunch is the same thing as eating a full cup of sugar? Now let's add the sugar we ate from lunch right into our bowl. We had 14 teaspoons from the soda, 15 teaspoons from the sandwich, 12 teaspoons from the fries, 41 teaspoons, almost another full cup of sugar. For dinner, I've chosen a totally fat-free meal. I've chosen pasta, a well-known pasta sauce, garlic bread using multigrain bread, and a can of soda. Would you believe that eating this dinner is the equivalent of eating another full cup of sugar? Now let's add our dinner sugar into our bowl. We had 21 teaspoons from the pasta, 4.5 teaspoons from the bread, 4 teaspoons from the sauce, 10 teaspoons from the soda, giving us almost another full cup. The sugar is really adding up now, isn't it? Now, like most Americans, we're going to have a snack in the evening while we watch TV. I've chosen a healthy stem of grapes and a healthy glass of apple juice. Would you believe eating this snack is the same thing as eating a third of a cup of, you guessed it, more sugar? You wouldn't think that grapes in 1 cup of apple juice would equal a third of a cup of sugar, but they do. We're at one of our favorite grocery stores, and the good people at our grocery store have allowed us to use some of their sugar stock on one of their scales, so we can show you how much sugar the average American eats in 1 year. Are you ready? Here we go. And there you have it. Almost 150 pounds of sugar each and every one of us Americans eats, each and every year. No wonder type 2 diabetes is so high in this country. Now, let's go back to the kitchen, shall we? Welcome back. Are you ready to regain your health? Are you serious about losing weight, reversing your type 2 diabetes if you're afflicted with it? This wonderful book, Fat to Skinny, Fast and Eat.
Okay, I'll skip that part because he's getting into his advertising. However, it's not a bad book. That's the book I was doing before Dr. Davis talked me into our program. Because it worked for me as long as you work it, just like anything else. Okay, now ancient medicine today, how sugar destroys your body, plus kicking the addiction. Different diseases that you have, I mentioned that, 80% of them, cardiovascular disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, leaky gut, metabolic diseases, certain cancers and depression. Those are some of the different diseases that you can get. And some of the things you can do to avoid that is avoid anything ending in ose, like dextrose, maltose, anything that ends in ose usually is a sugar. They got 60 different names for sugar. You want to avoid corn syrup. You want to avoid high fructose corn syrup, nectars, malt syrup, molasses, those things you want to avoid. How sugar destroys your body. What you want to do to solve this and kick the addiction is to eat clean proteins, indulge in fats, that's healthy fats, and increase your fiber intake. Because you know that the fiber is digested slower than other types of carbs, and it doesn't drive up your blood sugars as fast. Other things you can do is eat sour foods, switch to stevia, which is a plant extract, and switch to Manuka honey. Now I had to look that one up. That's actually a Manuka plant, and it has blossoms on it, and they have the bees do the work on that particular plant to get Manuka honey. Does eliminating sugar work? In other words, eliminate it completely? Well, if you do, then your calorie restriction shows up, it slows up your metabolism, it makes you hungry, and it guarantees that you'll probably fail. So you do need some sugars, but you want to keep it within reason. Eating a higher fat, higher protein, low sugar, and refined carb diet will speed up your metabolism and cut your hunger. And of course, the more protein you eat, the fuller you seem to feel. Also, some fats that treat it that way too. And what you need to do is retrain your taste buds. Your taste buds are so used to eating sweet things that when you start eating some things that aren't as sweet, they may not taste sweet at all to you. But if you work with them for a while and keep trying them, later on you'll find that they are very, very sweet. So choose good for you sweets. A carrot is actually at the top of the lower section of the glycemic index. They're okay for you raw, but they're not good for you if they're cooked. You might as well have the table sugar straight as eat cooked carrots. Amazing. Let protein help. Do all kinds of different proteins. It helps keep you fuller for a longer period of time. And another thing you can do is get outside and exercise. Get outside and garden. Those things take your mind off of being hungry. And can artificial sweeteners help? Yes, they can, but you kind of want to watch them because some of them have things in there. There's one particular artificial sweetener that has the same thing in it that it turns into formaldehyde in your body. So, it's not really a good thing to be doing. That's why I switched off of it. That one is, in particular, is a Splenda. And I use stevia now. And limit the amount of healthy sugars too. Whether pure sugar, brown sugar, eliminate those or limit those. How much sugar is too much? Well, the American Heart Association says that men should have 150 calories per day only, and that's about 9 teaspoons of sugar. Women should have 100 calories per day, or about 6 teaspoons of sugar. Now, the next part is really important. Here's some of the different names that they have for sugar. I told you there were 60 of them. A lot of them you can tell up there end in ose. Fructose, lactose, dextrose, those are the ones, glucose, those are the ones you want to avoid. Now, how to estimate how much sugar is in your food. I love this one because I learned to do this a long time ago. In fact, it was out of that book that we were just talking about that Doug Verrier used. In fact, he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and he comments on some of my comments every now and then. But for example, here's total carbohydrates in this particular item. You notice that there's no dietary fiber at all. Now, how much sugar is in there? Because that's kind of hard to figure. Well, the way you do it is you take and divide the amount of carbohydrates by 4. So if you divide, so 4 teaspoons, 4 grams of sugar equals a teaspoon. So if you divide that 31 by 4, you get 7 3/4 teaspoons of sugar in whatever this item is. That's per serving. And I don't want to complicate that, but if there's any dietary fiber that's in there, you want to subtract the dietary fiber. Say, for example, there was 3 grams of dietary fiber in it. You'd subtract that from 31, you'd have 28, and divide that by 4, you'd have 7 teaspoons of sugar in there. Because even though the dietary fiber is a carb, it doesn't react on your body the same way that pure carbohydrates, flours, or sugars do. And you want to scout out where the hidden sugars are. In other words, you probably think that doing some something on the grill like this is healthy for you, and the meat itself would be probably pretty good, but the sauces that they put on it are definitely not. They are loaded with sugar. Does sugar cause type 2 diabetes? Well, it doesn't, but the weight gain that comes from eating sugary foods definitely could. And of course, you've seen this before. We all are the result of the decisions we make on a daily basis. If you make unhealthy decisions, like he was using an example in that video, then you're heading towards the sick end of the scale. Yeah. However, if you eat some healthy things, real chicken salad, then that helps you become a more healthy person. You do that over an extended period of time. Risk for diabetes, if you reduce weight by 7%, you reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes by 60%. That's huge. Now, a lot of times when a person is eating some things that they shouldn't, they get emotional, and emotions we deal with all the time in our life. But what is emotional eating? Well, here's one. I'm so happy. Well, if you're happy, you're this one guy in the crowd. You know, you're awfully happy. And what do? Well, you get together with somebody and you're happy, and you probably eat. I'm so angry. I'm angry as I can be. Well, if you're angry and hungry, then you're hangry. And you don't want to get in the way of somebody that's hangry. Don't talk to me. Rawr, snarfing that food down. I'm so stressed out. Okay, eat something fun. That'll help the stress. Here's some fun things. But you think you're going to feel any better about it later? Probably not. I'm so sad. Get something to snack on. See the pattern here? Everything's got to do with food. So sad, snack on, get something to snack on. That'll make you happy. No, not later on it won't. I did a good job. I deserve it. I deserve it. Good job. Reward yourself with some cookies or a cake. I'm so bored. I'm bored. I'm even more bored. Well, let's go look around the kitchen, see what we can find. And I guarantee you, you're going to find something in that kitchen. Going to bag something, like Dr. Davis always used to say. Okay, we're going to cook something up. So conquer emotional eating by habits of health, and that's by eating healthy foods, eating protein, drinking plenty of water, get exercise, get sleep. All these things combined help you conquer those emotions. The habits are eat fresh fruits and veggies. Now, just the veggies on the when you're on the 5-in-1 program, you want to stay away from the fruits, but later on you can add them back on there. You want to get plenty of sleep. You want to drink plenty of water. You want to get plenty of exercise, and you want to laugh a lot. Those who think they have no time for eating healthy now will sooner or later have to find time for illness. And that'll take all your time.
There's the curtains.
There's your curtain.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody got any questions on this? And I'm going to pause the recording, stop the recording. And thank you for tuning in.